Get to sit down yet. Hey, this is Trey Lopashinsky with energeticcity.ca. This is the Community Roundup sponsored by Brad's Furniture and Appliances. And today I'm here at the North Peace SPCA and I'm joined by Candace Buchamer, who is the manager of the branch here. And today, first of all, how are you doing today, Candace?
We're doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
It's actually my first time here at the SPCA.
Oh.
Yeah, specifically here in Fort St. John, and you guys have a beautiful facility, but I know
thank you.
the past year there's been a couple challenges, and that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit. First going off, how has it been the past year, and how are you guys doing right now with, I know you guys are over capacity with cats in, and...
It's definitely been a struggle. The COVID regulations have put a toll on everybody. Every workplace has different regulations they have to work under. We are no exception because our building is separated into smaller rooms, specifically within like the cat structure. They're all small space rooms. So it really restricts how many people we can have in the building at a time to stay within COVID regulations and WCB safety standards. So that has made things a little difficult. Because of those restrictions, we've had to decrease our staff available, which means that normally when we would have 3-4 staff on working to take care of the 50 some animals we have in care, we now have 1 staff or myself or possibly 2 staff per day. So it's a lot of extra work for the staff, and they're doing the very best they can to stay positive and be able to care for the animals the way they need to, make sure they're getting all their medications, their daily welfare management, and is still being able to hopefully process adoptions and get them out into homes where they belong. So.
With the general seasons and the, kind of the influx and I guess the ebbs and flows of animals coming in the shelter, that's stayed normal throughout the pandemic. So how have you guys had to adjust? I mean, with only having, 1 or 2 staff working because of the protocols, still having, overcapacity between 30 to, like you said, 50 animals at a time. How does that work? There's obviously some procedural things, or I guess that you've had to kind of focus more on the animals as opposed to some other things. How has that worked for you guys?
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, a lot of our work has to stay focused on the animals. They are living, breathing, and we are responsible for their lives here. So that does mean we may not be able to answer your phone call when you phone, which is why we have a voicemail system. Same with emails, Facebook messages. Like, I know the public is frustrated because it has been difficult to get a hold of ourselves in any kind of contact form. We are doing the very best we can, but like I said, the animals most definitely have to come first. We are here for them. And once we have their care taken care of, then we are looking into our media streams and trying to get back as many messages as we possibly can. So like I said, there is definitely delays in that aspect. Please be patient, and instead of phoning multiple times and being frustrated because you haven't heard from us, please leave a voicemail. Like, always leave a message. Don't just call and hang up and go, I'll try again later, because we can't return a call if we don't have a voicemail to know what it's about, right? So that's the big thing, is just knowing, like I said, we have to stay focused on these animals. That's what we're here for. And the communications piece obviously is a big part of the end picture of getting animals home. But that has to wait until our daily tasks are done with the animals, and then we are returning that. In part of that process, we're trying to bring in some volunteer folks to help with reception duties. Definitely volunteer foster homes have really stepped up for us and are helping move some of these animals out that maybe are resting from surgical procedures, some that have behavioral needs. So some of the more intense care animals, we are being able to find some foster homes, which then relieves a little bit of the upkeep for the staff in the shelter, which again is giving us a little more time to make those communication connections and be able to get back to people and look at adoption processing or returning animals home if they can be claimed by owners. So
So, and I just want to clarify too. So, you guys don't have exactly a staff shortage. It's just the fact that with the protocols, you can only have a certain amount of staff here in the building.
We actually have both. We
Okay.
have,
Or I was going to say, or is it both
It's
of them?
both, unfortunately. Yeah, we're currently down 2 staff as well. One of the problems that we've had, more I've had, is when I'm on the floor assisting with animal care because we're short-staffed, I actually haven't had time to process through our applications, our resumes. So it's delaying hiring another person and having that body here to care for the animals. So it's kind of this vicious little cyclone of things happening.
A lot of backlogs while you guys are caring for the animals.
Yeah, a ton of backlogs. A good example, we're getting anywhere from 10 to sometimes 15, 20 calls a day for people who need to bring cats in. And when our facility is already more than double over the animals we're supposed to have, we can't take everybody in when you call, that specific day. So we have a waiting list of animals to come in. We have a surrender list for people who unfortunately can't care for their animals anymore. One thing that we're doing to try alleviate some of that as well is our pet food bank. So if a family is having difficulties because maybe their income is lower than usual and they're just having a tough time, we do have the pet food bank, which makes food available for free. We do pickups here at the shelter. Women's Resource and the Salvation Army are being supplied with foods as well, to try to be able to reach as many people as possible.
And the spay and neuter program.
And
also.
the spay and neuter program, yeah. So there are things that we're trying to do to assist the community in hopes that animals don't have to come in here, right? We want this to be a last resort, especially in terms of a surrender. If an animal can stay with its family, that's where it needs to be. So,
with the surrenders and with you guys being so over capacity and being, the only facility here in the North Peace, what do you suggest residents do if like they need to surrender their animal, but obviously they can't here at the SPCA? So, like, how does that work? Like, what do you suggest to them to where they have no last resort? I know there are Facebook groups and stuff like that. Is that something kind of you guys suggest as well? To try
there's a number of things. Obviously, one thing that is very common is people will post on Facebook, try to rehome themselves, which is phenomenal. The other thing that we do really, really strongly urge people is to make sure you're contacting us early. If you know by February you may not have the home you're in and you might have to look at surrendering that animal, contact us now. It doesn't mean you have to bring that animal in now, but what that means is we know there's 1 or 2 or 5 cats that need some place to go by end of February. So we can plan a pathway for that animal as it's approaching that date, right? We can make sure that we have a space available. We can potentially even do vetting and maybe even assist with rehoming without the animals having to come into facility. We've actually done a lot of that over the past couple of years since COVID hit. We have a behavioral profile that we will get people to fill out. It just talks a little bit about the animal's quirks and qualities and all the fun details, and we've been able to match that with some of our pre-approved applicants that are waiting for animals to go home, which means number 1, a new family is getting a pet that they will love and enjoy, and number 2, it saves an animal who is used to a home environment from coming into the noisy, frightening environment that a shelter can be, right? So it really does assist multiple aspects. And again, it keeps a space open and available for maybe somebody abandoned on a street or hit by a car or somebody who needs the space a little bit more. So,
with the challenges that you guys are facing, with BC SPCA being a provincial, company, obviously you guys have the branches throughout the province. Is there any help coming from the actual, company itself? I'm guessing it's in Vancouver. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but How's that working? How are they assisting the other branches throughout the province?
Yeah. So our main, as you said, our main office is centered in Vancouver area. There is a number of programs put in place to try assist and help with animal flow. So a couple of examples of that are the half-price adoption events that happen that are sponsored by our food company, Hill Science Diet. Those adoption things, we know we're not necessarily going to move any more animals locally through adoption because people who want to adopt are still coming in to do so, right? But what it does is it increases adoptions in shelter and animal centers in other parts of the province where we have sister branches. That allows us to use our Drive for Lives program and actually transfer out. So once one of those cat sales happen, we are then able to potentially move anywhere from 15 to 25 of our cats that are sitting here locally, move them to high adoption areas. They get adopted quickly, and it opens up space for us to do another intake. So we're continually doing that. Currently, we do anywhere from 1 to 2 a month. And like I said, we're moving out, for example, from August to the end of October, we moved over 80 cats via transfer. In total, so far from January, we've moved over 247 cats just in transfer. So those are all ones that have gone to other branches within the BC SPCA and have found their adoptable homes in those areas, right? And at the same time, we've done locally almost as many adoptions. So we're seeing easily 500 to 600 cats a year just coming into our locations. So.
And I imagine if there was more space in these other locations, there probably would have been even more transfers. So basically across the province, the numbers have been huge all year for all of the branches.
Exactly, yeah. The only thing we're really seeing a decrease in across the province is available dogs for adoption. That is something you can look on our adoption website and you will see maybe 15 to 20 dogs posted across the entire province because there is a shortage for the type of demand that we're seeing. So that is something that is definitely declined, and it's not because of refusal to intake or anything like that. It is just there are literally not as many dogs out there as there were. So that's a positive. But yeah, the cats, unfortunately, it's not just BC, it's across the entire everywhere has a cat problem. So
I could definitely imagine it's been rough across the board for everyone the past over a year here. So with the adoption events, I just wanted to go to that as we're winding down here. If around the time you guys had 50 in, if that was staying consistent, would then the BC SPCA look at having the adoption events more locally? Would you guys do it, or how would that work?
Yeah, so when one of these adoption events happen, it is a provincial-wide thing. Like I said, it's not that we don't host them, it's just that we don't see a lot of increase in our adoptions because of the price drop. Like I said, people who are coming understand the value of the adoption cost. And a lot of times people that are coming in, we actually surprise them and go, oh, by the way, it's a cat sale, so it's half price. And they're very excited. But they came in knowing what our general adoption costs are and still wanting to do that process. So yeah, the adoption events are always across the province to try make as much space as possible. Something that's different, this fall we've already had 2 adoption events throughout the province, and there's potential possibly for a 3rd one going in closer to Christmas because there is such an influx of cats in the area that need assistance. So we're pushing as much as we can to be able to bring as many of these guys in off the streets and off of homes that unfortunately can't manage them anymore. So it's definitely making a big difference, and all we can do is continue to kind of work together throughout the province and try and move as many as possible. So.
And I know your guys' rates for adoption are the same as any other SPCA. I know I've seen online and social media a lot of people, there's complaints to social media, as people do.
Always.
And there have been comments about the prices. Has there been any conversation within the company to kind of drop them a bit with the situation this past year?
So the problem is we cannot drop our adoption prices because we pay almost double in vet services.
Oh, okay.
So we are losing money on every single adoption. It is not to make money. The $205 we adopt a kitten out for doesn't even cover the cost of the spay. And we are spaying and neutering, we're tattooing and providing a lifetime microchip registration. We do initial vaccines, we do deworming, ear mite treatment, a free vet exam, and 6 weeks of emergency insurance. All of that's included for that $205 that doesn't even cover the spay.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's so hot.
yeah, so like you said, for somebody who, you know, wants to offer a home and love an animal, yes, it seems extreme to them to have to pay that much. But to somebody who has been through veterinary services with other animals, they do really understand that the price isn't that extreme. And like I said, unless something happened in the veterinary world and they were able to give us free spay and neuters, it's simply not possible. So, and I have to say, like, our vets locally here are amazing with the discounted services and fitting us in and putting up with our nonstop onslaught of animals that need help. You know, when you consider they're assisting us with almost 1,000 animals a year and they hardly ever say no to us. It's amazing to have the partnerships with the veterinary community and for them to have such an open door policy with us. If it weren't for them, our services might be a lot different. So,
my last question for you here, Candace, is what can residents do to help?
Well, good question. Like I said, the big thing would be, you know, if you see a stray out on the streets that you're worried about, if you have your own animal that unfortunately you think you may not be able to maintain anymore, contact us as soon as possible. Especially with cats, we very seldom have a same day availability. We really have to do a lot of planning to make those intakes work, find fosters that can assist with those animals. And it really just helps. Like I said, usually in a day we're getting 10 to 15 calls. So when we say no to you, it's not just you we're saying no to. And it definitely takes a toll on the staff to even have to say no, right? We don't want to see animals out on the street any more than anybody else in the community. The other big thing, if you have a bathroom available, if you have a spare bedroom that's not being used and it just kind of stores some boxes, even if it's not for our location, there are other rescues that operate in the city limits. Don't hesitate to touch base with them and talk to them about their foster program, because without fosters, we could not do the kind of work that we need to do. So foster homes are hugely important. The other thing, volunteer services, again, we're not getting a lot of dogs in care, so we don't need 50 people who want to walk dogs because we can't walk our dogs that much. But I think the big thing that would be a benefit would be people who are willing to come and sit with our shy, scared cats, our, you know, kittens who maybe were on the street and have never met a human before. They need a lot of socialization that way. So we have to schedule volunteers, just like staff now. But we do have availability and can definitely use those services. So if there's registered volunteers out there interested or new people interested in coming in and doing something, like I said, our cat facility really does need help right now. And as far as donations, we are obviously still taking donations. We do have some urgent care wish lists out there. There is an Amazon wish list on our Facebook page. Just if you ever have any questions about what we need, always hit us up on Facebook, send us an email, give us a phone call, and leave a voicemail, please.
I was going to say, leave a voicemail.
Leave a voicemail, and we will definitely get back to you. The community has been amazing. We've had so many businesses doing different types of fundraisers. Youth are still doing birthday donations for us, which is amazing. You know, a young child that is more interested in getting stuff for our cats and our dogs and our bunny rabbits than they are presents for themselves. It's pretty amazing, and it just shows the generosity that is in the community, right? And again, we wouldn't be able to do the work we do if it weren't for folks that are supporting us. So.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule.
Definitely.
Candace.
Yeah.
We tried to schedule this all week, but she's very, very busy, as this whole conversation, I'm sure you guys realized that. So again, Candace Buchamer with the North Peace SPCA. She's the manager here. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I'm Trey Lopushinsky with energeticcity.ca. This is the Community Roundup, sponsored by Brad's Furniture and Appliances. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Perfect. Question.